Where's the phone?
Hello? Hello? Are you there?
We can hear you, sir. We're not started yet, so if you'll be patient just a minute.
Okay.
Maurice, you ready? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals for this Monday, July 10th, 2023. We are called to order.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble to you this morning, this Monday, July 10th. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conduct its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with
Oh, can't hear anything anymore.
Yeah, the sound went out.
Okay, there you go. I can hear now. I heard you say the sound went out, but I can't hear anything.
Secretary's microphone is muted.
No, it's on.
all meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak in our particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak in our particular matter have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comments on our particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Okay, you want to call the roll?
Sure thing. Ms. Holzer?
Present.
Ms. Roca?
Present.
Ms. Bates?
Present.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum with 3.
Okay.
Would you like me to make the announcement?
Yes, I would.
To everybody in the audience and on the call, this morning we only have 3 members. Therefore, you need a unanimous vote of 3 members. Otherwise, the appeal is denied and the decision of building and housing remains. If you would like to postpone until we have more members, you can. We're thinking it'll be approximately 30 days. So when we call your case, please come to the table and request that postponement at that time.
Okay. We have Councilman Hairston with us. When we have a council person present, we move them to the top of the agenda. As it happens, that case is at the top of the agenda. So we'll begin with calendar number 23-013.
Madam Chair, could I announce the postponements first?
Yes, absolutely.
So on the screen before you, Madam Chair, there are 2 postponements, or 3 altogether. Calendar numbers 107 and 106 regarding Ithaca Court and West 54th Street. These cases are, they involve a lot split, and the lot split has to go through the city planning review process and receive approval. So city planning is requesting a postponement at this time to allow for that process to occur.
And how much time do we expect that will be needed?
Any idea? Maurice?
Madam Chair, Maurice from City Planning. The next City Planning Commission meeting is the 21st of this month. We are hoping to get it on that agenda. So anytime after that, I think would be fine.
Okay. So what do we have in August?
We could get them back, oh, in August, okay, I'm sorry. August, the first week in August is August 7th.
Okay,
We have July 31st, but if you want to have it in August, it would be August 7th.
let's go to August 7th, just to make sure they have a time cushion. Okay.
So therefore, calendar numbers 106 and 107 are postponed to August 7th. No testimony will be taken on these cases this morning. If you received a mailing regarding this case, you will receive another mailing closer to the time of meeting. So the other ones that we are postponing this morning is calendar number 23-110 regarding 9504 Pierpont Avenue. Aqua Diamond Properties LLC proposed to change use of a residential structure from a 2-family to a 3-family. It was discovered in our research that this is a refiling, a rehearing, and raised judicata to apply in this case. So we sent that information to the applicant, and we are postponing it to allow them time to prepare a response to that. We didn't catch it early enough to give them that notice, because of our workflow and everything, but
Right.
so they are aware and they will not be here today. So anybody here for this case, we are not going to hear testimony on Pierpont. July 31st is, we'd like to get them back on the agenda, or she would like to get back on the agenda as soon as possible.
Right,
So July 31st is all right with you, we'll put it on that.
I think that's fine.
So, calendar number 23-110, 950 Pierpont Avenue will not be heard this morning. And again, as with the other two, if you received a mailing, you will receive another mailing closer to the date, and that date is July 31st. That's all that we have for postponements. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on then.
All right. Our first case is calendar number 23-103. This is an administrative appeal, appealing the Public Works invoice issued at 495 Cleveland Road. Ronald D. Pace appeals under the authority of Section 76-6B of the Charter of the City of Cleveland and Section 329.02D of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances from the decision of the hearing officer dated December 22nd, 2022, to uphold the City of Cleveland's Department of Public Works to issue invoice W0-7010-1402-048, W0-7010-1400-662, W0-7010-144191, WO-7010-1280343, and WO-7010-1262969 regard abating nuisances, parenthetically grass cutting at the subject property. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roca for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. I will move forward with the oath. We'll start with anyone who's in the room for this case. Do we have anyone here for this case? Okay.
Yes.
We'll move to it sounds like we have people online. I think I heard Mr. Pace first.
Natasha
okay.
Brewster.
All right, well, just one second. Let me swear you in. Mr. Pace, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, your name and your address.
Do. Name, Ronald Pace. Address, 1046 East 141st Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44110.
Thank you. And I think I heard another person.
Natasha Brewster.
Please reply with I do, your name and your address.
I do. Natasha Brewster, 500 Lakeside Avenue.
Thank you. Anybody
Anthony
else?
Harrison, Cleveland City Council, 601 Lakeside. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else representing the city here?
Yes, this is Ariel Cloak. I do, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the call? All right, thank you. Madam Chair, back to you.
All right, great. Okay, Mr. Pace, you've got 6 invoices here. Would you like to explain to us what happened?
No, basically what happened is over the last period that involves those invoices, the dates that involved it, there was a grass cutting crew that was basically saying they cut the grass when they did not. And I had hand walked the statements or the citations, whatever they were. I hand walked them down to the board downtown and filed them. A couple times it was during COVID. So I had to leave those documents with the guard to be delivered, hand delivered, but for the majority of the time, for all the time, they were hand delivered. And some of them said they had a record, they never received those rebuttals against the citations. But the thing is it's been going on for some time throughout the city of Cleveland that grass cutting crews were saying they cut grass when they didn't. And that's what my appeal is about. And finally, one of the invoices were sent over to my taxes, and I'm looking to get that removed off my taxes as well.
How many invoices were attached to your taxes? Mr. Pace? Did we lose him?
I think he's gone.
He's still listed.
Yeah. Okay.
We can't hear you, Mr. Pace, if you're speaking.
Just one. The others were
Sir, we can't hear you.
taken
Can you
care of
speak up?
by the city. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. So you've got 6
Hello,
invoices.
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Oh dear. We can hear you, Mr. Pace. Can you hear us?
Audio's not coming through.
Yeah. Mr. Pace, can you hear us?
I think we lost it.
Yeah, we've lost him.
Yeah, they dropped off.
All right. Liz, can you see if we can reestablish contact with him? Maybe get him on the phone or something? All right. All right.
Chat has it right now?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, if I can point out, there were 2 invoices attached to his taxes.
Okay, thank you.
the charges, each invoice is 315. So there are two that were,
Okay, each invoice was 315?
yes.
All right. I hesitate to proceed without him being active.
One thing we could do is take a statement
Oh, yes, thank you.
while we're waiting.
Mary, would you like to do legal standard on this while we're waiting
Sure.
for?
Madam Chair, members of the board, how is appealing an administrative decision by the hearing officer to uphold public works invoices? The standard of review is whether the administrative decision
I
is
can't hear.
arbitrary, capricious, unreasonable, or unsupported by the preponderance of substantial, reliable, and appropriate evidence. If the appellant fails to meet this burden, the administrative decision must be affirmed.
Thank you. Mr. Pace, are you back with us? I think we're gonna have,
Can everybody else hear us?
yeah. Can everyone else hear us?
Yes,
Yeah, I can hear you. just
Natasha
fine.
Brewster.
Bob Strickland, we can hear you.
All right. All right, so it's.
Should we
apparently
continue?
Mr. Pace.
Should,
I think we should move on and move back
yeah.
since he's not present.
This is Councilman Harrison. Do you want
Oh.
me to try to call him?
Councilman,
can you
I'm
hear me
sorry,
now?
what was your question, Councilman?
Do you want me to try to call him?
We have one of our staff people trying to get a hold of him.
Okay.
So if you can be patient for just 1 second, we're gonna see if we can reach him via phone.
Okay, I can hear now.
All right.
Oh,
Great, we have him back. All right. Okay, so is there anything else you want to add to the statement you just made, Mr. Pace?
Yes.
What else would you like to say? Can you still hear us?
I tried to call him and his voice.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you clearly now.
All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to your statement at this time before we move on?
I don't know. What did you receive thus far? The connection was really bad.
You stated that that you had been billed for lawn mowing, and that hadn't actually been done. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. My son and I'd like to add to it. My son and I maintain the property as far as cutting grass and things like that.
You have any record or any pictures of that taking place?
I may have some pictures. Yes, I may have pictures. Yes, ma'am.
But you've not submitted any to us for today?
No, I did not. No, I did not.
Okay.
But I also have the neighbors who know that I do it. I could have them sign statements for that as well.
Yeah, but you're here before us today, so we should have had that information now. So, because we're hearing your case today, sir.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. We'll move on to Ms. Brewster, please.
Good morning. Today, Mr. Pace only protested 2 charges. He only had 4 charges on this property, to be exact. 2 was protested, 2 never. Ms. Elizabeth gave him the other 2 that wasn't protest, which I still haven't received, and it's been about 3 weeks now. So the first one that I'm going to speak on is work order number 1400662. I provided 3 attachments showing the before and after pictures of the City of Cleveland service in the property. I also sent Mr. Pace a hearing form that was attached to his denial letter, which I never received for both of these charges. And he never had a hearing with me. He went over me and went straight to Board of Zoning and Appeals. So on both 1400662 and work order 1441916 has 4 attachments showing the before and after pictures of the City of Cleveland service in their his property on these 2 charges.
Okay. Ms. Cook, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Not at this time.
Okay.
And
Councilman,
this is sorry.
go ahead.
Okay, this is Natasha again. And the 2 invoices that's on his taxes is the 2 invoices that he never protested. So these 2 that's in question is not on the taxes as of yet. It will not be certified until September. So these will be 2 more additional charges on his taxes, each in an amount of $315 even.
Okay, so the 2 that we're really deciding on today are the ones that end in 0662 and the one that ends in 1916. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So at this point, he owes $650. Is that correct?
Yes, that's including the interest and penalty fees when they're split up. Mm-hmm.
And he needs to get in to see you to handle the rest of these then.
Yes, he never sent in protest to even start the protest process.
Okay.
And with the 2 that he did protest, he had hearing forms that he never submitted hearings with me to send in. That was a second chance for him to send in the support and documentation, which he never sent in.
Okay. All right. Do you understand that, Mr. Pace?
I do. And there was an issue with that back on, August 20th. My son and we were over there cleaning up the property and everything. And I was burned severely and had to go to the hospital. And I had been out of commission since then. And then actually in February, I was admitted. I had to go to the hospital. I was there till March as well. So some of the paperwork I may have missed, but when it came to my appeals and reaching out, I was instructed to go to the Board of Appeals of Zoning. And I didn't know that I had to contact Ms. Brewster, and some of the notifications I never received, and I didn't receive those. But that's what I have to add, because I tried to keep up with the taxes, and the property had been vandalized a couple times, and I've been working to get that all taken care of. Like with that mattress on the porch, someone placed it there and nobody seemed to know what happened. And as you see the dumpster in one of the pictures, I've been getting rid of stuff, trying to get the property together. But I have been I'm a partially, almost fully disabled veteran. I've been trying to get the property ready for other veterans as well, but I missed that opportunity, as Ms. Brewster said, and I apologize for that. I am sorry that I missed that, but I would like the opportunity to, appeal this or do whatever we can to reduce those fees that's been assessed to the taxes on the property.
Okay, Mr. Pace, when you spoke with Miss Elizabeth, did she send you over the 2 other invoices?
Actually,
time you two spoke?
I don't remember speaking to Miss Elizabeth. I spoke to a gentleman who actually forwarded me all the invoices, and as I saw, I know I responded to each and every last one of them, and I filled out the back of them, and I even made a couple statements regarding the cruise. One guy I know, and is Ronnie Burks, is the head of that crew. I know this guy personally, but the thing is, I rebutted every last one of them, and as was stated, 2 of them weren't even received. But I know I mailed a couple in, and then I had to go when you guys had moved. I had to go across the street during COVID to hand deliver the forms myself, and each time I try to take them down there so they don't get lost in the mail. But
Mr. Pace, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're gonna move on with this.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
I'm sorry for your illnesses and your injuries that you incurred. But at this particular point in time, you have 2 invoices that are due for fines and 2 that have not been protested. So at this point, Ms. Brewster, you need to connect with Ms. Brewster to take care of the other 2.
Yes.
Councilman Hairston, do you have any comment at this point?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really, Ms. Brewster did share that I was curious about the before and after photos of the property. And I'll say that because, I am very active, very out involved and around my my Ward 10. And I personally haven't stumbled across this property to have high grass to a point where a city crew has needed to cut it. The residents that are around this property are very active, very engaged, have not received any sort of complaints about routine, dysfunction at this house in terms of grass, trash, and debris, except for the mattress that was placed on the property. I know Mr. Pace to be a very honest and engaged member of the neighborhood. So I do know that he has faced some health challenges over the past year or so. But it's not been a nuisance. It's something that's been on my radar for a period of time. Thank you.
Okay, so you have not witnessed the property in need of having to be mowed then?
No, I don't believe it has. It's just my memory. I don't believe the property. When I'm down Cleveland Road there, that the property has been so tall where it has grabbed my attention and said, "Hey, we need to send this in," and it's problematic. And neither has the residents, on the street have come to me and said, "Hey, this is the problem house. Needs to be cut." However, as I said in the picture, the mattress was dumped there, and there were some other dumpings there that I did communicate with property owner about, and for it to be removed.
Thank you.
On the actual pictures that was sent in, you could actually see some of the crews at the property servicing the property, and that it was actually in violation.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Brewster.
I'd like to add something too. Two of those invoices. Yes.
I'm going to open it up to any questions or comments from the board at this point.
Madam Chair, my only question is we can't see the photos anymore. I think Maurice is
We
working.
lost the internet for a minute there, and now I can't get it to share again, so something's going on here.
Okay.
Madam Chair, in front of you is a packet, the hard copy of the photos.
All right.
Oh, I'm
great.
sorry, I just have a copy.
Okay, great, thank you. Just want to confirm.
We're reviewing the hard copies of the photos right now.
Madam Chair, perhaps this would be a question for the attorney. Can we make a decision on those two invoices that have not been appealed? Because technically, I think they have to appeal the decision
Back.
of the city, not the invoices themselves. So I'm not sure if Mary could confirm that. Then if that's the case, we should probably see if Ms. Brewster would entertain that or could entertain it.
Yeah. You will want an appeal from the decisions of the city.
And there hasn't been a decision, is what I'm hearing is,
Right.
so Ms. Brewster, I think testified, and I want to correct if we're wrong, Ms. Brewster, but I believe you testified that Mr. Pace did not come to a hearing, or there wasn't a hearing. So was there a decision rendered?
No, he never sent in the information that was attached to get a hearing with me. And I don't know how he got the Board of Zoning and Appeals information, because he wouldn't get that information from me unless it was denied at the hearing. So I don't know who gave him that information to go to you all, but only 2 was protested, no hearings held at all.
No hearings held.
So I don't think we have it does not appear to me that we have a decision to rule on.
Right.
Yes, it is not supposed to go to you all yet.
Okay. So
I sent the email on that too last week.
All right. So if there's been no decisions on any of the cases and no hearings, then Mr. Pace, you need to there has not been a decision for us to rule on. So you need to go back and work with Ms. Brewster.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. I can't understand. Could you repeat that?
There has not been a decision made on the cases because there were no hearings made. So without having a decision on the case.
Hearings. Yes,
right.
ma'am.
So we cannot make a ruling because there were no decisions made on the hearings. So
what do I need to do?
You need to go back and work with Ms. Brewster and get the situation resolved.
May I have Miss Brewster? Could you give me your direct number that I may contact you?
216.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have pen and piece of paper available?
Yes, ma'am. I'm writing it as we speak. 216-664-3873. My phone rang. 664.
38.
Yes.
73.
Okay. When should I reach out to you? The best time?
Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Pace, you've got that information, right? So you can move forward?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I get dismissed myself. I get dismissed myself now?
Yes, you can.
We should give it a, Madam Chair, would you like to give them a new date?
Yeah.
I guess it would depend on Ms. Brewster's time frame as to when she can get him in. We could give him 60 days, or to the beginning of August would be approximately 30 days.
Ms. Brewster, how long do you think you'll need to process this?
If he's sending information, I would say 30 days.
Right, 30 days.
me give it to the middle of August then.
Mhm.
And it's supposed to- Okay, that would be August 14th then.
All right.
Okay.
You can I'll approve our Board of Zoning Appeals thing.
Send Mr. Pace an email.
Okay. So we're postponing to August 14th pending the resolution of the invoices.
And Madam Chair, we'll send Mr. Pace an email right after this meeting,
Right.
so he is clear on the date.
All right. All right, let's move on. Thank you, Councilman Hairston. All right, moving on.
Our next case is calendar number 23-104. This is at 3119 Train Avenue. Ray's Properties LLC proposes to construct a fabrication shop and a two-story office in a multifamily district and an urban frontage line. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 6. Additionally, there is a note that Cleveland Planning Commission approval is required. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roker for you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to make a brief announcement on this. The AG of you a copy. There's been a revised notice of non-conformance. This day, with the neighborhood planner and have resubmitted their drawings to building and housing, and they changed the notice of non-conformance as well.
Okay, so are we still at 6 or are we down to
Down to
3? All right.
perfect timing. Neighborhood planners here.
Perfect.
And Madam Chair, I believe that Mr. Rollins has a copy of the revised drawings to put on the screen. And you have a copy of those, of the updated notice of non-conformance. I would just note that this is a more code conforming. I'm not sure if Mr. Rollins said this, but it is more code conforming. They're not adding any new variances. They're taking away variances. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right, we'll move forward, Madam Chair, to the.
Yeah, thank you,
Swearing
Mr.
in.
Rollins, for that update. All right.
I'd first like to start with anyone on the call. Do we have anyone on the call for this case? Okay, I will read the oath and then we'll move on from there. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, your name and your address. I'll take the first person on the call.
I do. Rob Strickland, 11941 Abbey Road, North Royalton.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. Anyone else on the call?
I do. This is Bob Strickland, 615 University Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44113.
Anyone else on the call?
I do. William Doty, architect.
Bill Doty. He's still out there being an architect.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And anyone else on the call? Hearing no one else, we will move to the room. Anyone in the room for this case? All right, Madam Chair.
I believe the city planner is present.
I'm
You're
sorry.
going to make testimony on this case?
Yeah.
All right,
I apologize.
we'll have to swear you in. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Brittany Pava. I'm your West Side City Planner for State Two.
And can you spell your last name? I'm sorry.
Pavon, P-A-V as in boy, O.
Thank you. Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, history of the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned industrial in 1929. In 2019, it was placed in the current multifamily zoning and also placed in an urban form overlay district. In our administration office, we found that the property's been used for industrial uses since 1975. There was a note that there was a permit issued to establish use as towing and storage of automotive vehicles. And that was in 1975. 1983, a permit was issued for dismantling of the vehicles outside of the building. 1984, a permit was issued for ripping and store, including existing one-story masonry structure. And then, Madam Chair, there are no variances on file for this address, and in the more recent history, we see that there was a permit in 1992 to install 7-foot tall chain link fence, and then in 1999, a permit was applied for. It's still active. I'm not sure if it was issued, but this was for an 8-foot high chain link fence as well, and that's 700 linear feet of that fencing. And that's all that I have that's relevant. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, the board, Howard is requesting use variance and area variances from urban frontage line and story grazing. Requirements of the zoning code. To obtain use variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without variance, with the private element of substantial property rights, and the granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Who's going to be the spokesperson?
I'll be the spokesperson, Rob Strickland.
Okay, Mr. Rob Strickland, go ahead and tell us what you want to do.
Okay. So what we have here is our business is in commercial glazing, which is it's a construction company that specializes in glass on commercial projects, so storefront and curtain wall systems. And what we're proposing here is having our headquarters, our shop and office space on the site. The majority of the building that we're proposing would be our manufacturing facility, which is involves just building the storefront and curtain wall windows for the fabrication, and then we eventually would take those out onto the site and install. So cutting operations and then assembling operations is the nature of the manufacturing facility. For the site, we have the office space on the west 30th elevation that we've it's a 2-story office that we've provided windows in all the offices, and then in the main entryways and the boardroom locations we have the full height of the building with a glass curtain wall system that also shows up on the Train Avenue elevation. So we provided a decent amount of windows in the office space as much as we could. And then off of that, there is a grade change to the manufacturing facility, which is actually, it's a 1-story that ranges from 18-foot to 20-foot ceilings, I believe. So part of the manufacturing portion of the building on the Train Avenue and West 30th locations is actually above the grade that's shown on the elevation plans. It's raised up, so part of the face of the building will be actually it won't be at grade, it'll be below the grade level. So we've included a bunch of clear story windows for the shop space to try and provide as much glass as possible that we can while still utilizing the manufacturing space for its intended use, which you can see on the elevations. That what you have there is the old one. We actually have added more windows since that plan, based on our meeting with city planning, to try and increase the amount of glass that windows that we're providing with this building. We're hoping to have our headquarters in the middle of Cleveland here with our office and manufacturing space.
So, Mr. Strickland, you said you have new plans since these were submitted to us. Is that correct?
Yeah,
all right.
That's correct.
So we need to have those new plans submitted.
Chair, I think
we did submit them. Is that correct?
Do you have 1 second?
Go ahead and
Okay. All right. All right. Mr. Rulins is looking. He thinks that he has those in the system. So, Mr. Doty,
Okay.
you have anything to add?
Yes, I'm very thankful to be part of this project because this has been an eyesore for many years. And what we're trying to do is bring a little bit of character and design to that area and make this a place where people can work and appreciate the architectural design within the neighborhood. So we tried to scale it down and add color and windows to make this fit into that neighborhood.
Well, you're in the glazing business, right? So it makes sense to try and show off your product.
Show off our glass. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, hence the curtain walls. Yeah, exactly. The full height. Yep.
Right. Okay.
Certainly hoping to get a reasonable price for it anyways.
All right. Would you like to step forward and make a statement on behalf of city planning?
Yes.
Come on up. The microphone's right here.
The chairs.
Yeah, would you like to sit?
That's right.
All right.
Just a few notes. There has been a few internal preliminary meetings with several members of staff for compliance to the urban form overlay, which is located in the corner here. That change happened in 2018. This is why it's coming for variance, for the use variance. And to meet it as close as possible, the compromises agreed upon reduced the non-compliance variables, which last week I worked with Choose to reduce that. Six City Glazing has come to design review twice and is up for final approval this Wednesday, July 12th. I'd also like to add that the use variance was widely accepted by our committee as well as city planning. And because it's a long-standing dilapidated building in the back of train that could use some revitalization. So we're in agreement.
Full support then. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us today. Welcome.
These are the upgraded drawings.
Great. So we have the current drawings, gentlemen, so that's great. Maurice, do we have like an aerial view?
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's what we like to do to you. I'm trying to get this in relation to the doggy daycare bar place.
Ooh,
That would
It's-
be
it's
down
down bottom.
Down at the bottom.
Talking
All right.
about taps and tails.
Yeah.
I think that's what- Yeah.
Okay, it's down. All right. So this isn't,
Quite a ways.
yeah, quite a ways. All right. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? Before we move on?
Madam Chair, this is Bob Strickland. I wonder, is it beneficial to review the variances that are on the current non-compliance notice So it has been reduced from 6 to 3.
Right. You want to speak to those specifically?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, go ahead, sir.
So the first is a variance for the change of use from the current multifamily zoning to the semi-industrial and office zoning, which is, how this site was typically used over its history. The second variance has to do with the build-out configuration in compliance with the urban form overlay. And if we could go to the site plan, it would be AS 2.0. Yeah, this is the.
That's the old
go
one.
back. Let's go back one for the existing site plan. That right there. So in terms of the build out on the site, it's a very unusual site in that the back of the property has a significant grade change along that southern boundary. So you can see that the property lines along Train and along West 30th extend well into the hillside. And it makes that portion of the site totally unbuildable and unusable. So we've reviewed that with city planning, and they've agreed that configuring the fence from the proposed building corners back into that hillside is an appropriate configuration for the fence. So we're asking for a variance from the build out required for the zoning code, particularly because of the strange configuration of the site, which makes a large portion of the site unbuildable. And then Rob had reviewed the third variance, which has to do primarily with the height of the glazing. The urban form overlay requires that the glass along the primary faces be between 3 feet and 8 feet of grade. And because of this building configuration, much of the portion of the elevation between 3 feet and 8 feet is actually a retaining wall. So that's why the clear story windows have been added at an appropriate height for this building configuration. So I just wanted to provide that clarification.
Great, super, thanks. Ms. Kukla, did we receive anything from Councilman McCormick on this?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. I think that anybody else have board members, questions, comments?
I can add that Councilman McCormick has provided a letter of support to economic development.
Okay.
It's not included.
We did not receive one, so that's what I was just checking on.
Understood.
So, but that's fine. Okay, board, I'll entertain a motion then.
I can do it. So having heard testimony from the owners, the architect and city planning commission, or city planning, I move approval of 23-104.
And let's mention the revised, yes.
With the revised zoning or code references, so down from 6 to 3. So, right, with only the 3 and.
I would just read those.
Yep. So revised from the 6 originally listed in the agenda to the 3 zoning codes 337.08, 348.04 D2, and 348.04 D3.
All right, could I have a second, please?
Board Member Roca seconds.
All right, Ms. Kukla, let's call the roll.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
Calendar number 23-104 is granted based on the revised final site plan and notice of nonconformance. This will be ratified next week, and then we will send the appellants a letter.
We have a request for a short break, folks, so we're going to do that real quickly, and we'll be back.
Thank you.
The board, zoning board.
Thank you very much.
Back to you. We look forward to seeing this come to fruition.
Us too, absolutely. Thank you.
Yes.
Josh, are you on the meeting? Are you part of the WebEx meeting? It's 17th. Oh, it's the 17th? Oh, shit. I thought it was today. I'm sorry. No worries. Oh, shit. Why did I think? Oh, Christ, I've been listening to this damn thing. No worries. Okay, great. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, of course. Bye. Bye-bye. Son of a bitch.
All right. Oh, so we had the new plans for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Cool. All right, we ready?
Ready?
All right. We are resuming and we will go to calendar number 23-105 next.
Our next case is calendar number 23-105. This is at 1206 Auburn Avenue, also known as 1204 Auburn Avenue. EWM Properties proposes to use premises for limited lodging in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. With that, I will hand it over to Mr. Roker for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holder. I'll start with anyone on the phone. Do we have anyone present for this case on the call?
I'm here, Evelyn.
Okay, let me swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply with I do, your name and your address.
I do. Evelyn Mills, 15883 Hocking Boulevard, Brook Park, Ohio, 44142.
Thank you. Anyone else on the call?
I'm here as well with Evelyn.
And please state your name, sir. Please state I do, your name and your address.
Okay. I do. Timothy Walker, 4402 West 58th, Cleveland, Ohio, 44144.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present on the call?
No.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Donna Gregonis here with Tremont West Development Corporation. 2406 Professor is our address. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone in the room that's present for this case? Thank you. Back to you, Madam Chair.
I would
Okay.
just like to. I'm sorry.
Ms. Mills, are you going to
Yes.
be the spokesperson?
Yes, but I was going to ask to postpone for, to present a full board. I've had hip replacement. I'd like to come in person.
Okay. Request to postpone.
So Madam Chair, how about the end of August? For a little more time, August 28th or August 23rd?
August.
Let's go to the 28th.
28th?
How does that fall with Labor Day weekend?
It's the first weekend, so
Okay.
it's September 4th.
All right, so the 28th is the Monday before.
Yeah.
Not the Monday.
Right, okay. All right, so we shouldn't have any conflicts of schedules. All right, let's go to that then.
Which date?
The 28th. Ms. Mills, we're going to move you to August 28th, give you some time to recuperate.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so we'll see you back then.
All right, thank you.
Thanks to everyone. Ms. Gregonis, thanks. Good to see you. We'll see you back on the 28th for this one. Okay, moving on.
Our next case is calendar number 23-109. This is at 1985 West 28th Street. OCI LLC proposes to establish tattooing use in a C1 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. That I will hand it over to Ms. Roper for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. I'm going to start with individuals on the phone. Maurice, can you, thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply I do, state your name and your address. Do we have anyone on the call? Hearing none. Do we have anyone in the room present? Do you want to bring your, scoot your chairs up here?
Bring the whole chair?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, because for some reason we
We
don't have
usually
any
have
at the
chairs
table.
here, but I don't know why we don't.
Yeah, so come up, make yourselves comfortable at the table.
All right, so I'll start with you.
I do Daniel Rubin, 4345 West 61st, 44144, I guess.
I do May Thurman, 4001 West 143rd Street, Cleveland.
You said Thurman, right?
Yes, Thurman.
And first name May?
May, M-A-E.
All right, Madam Chair.
Awesome. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 2014, it was placed in the local retail business district and a pedestrian retail overlay district. In our records administration office, we found that a permit was issued in 1956 to convert a store and suite into a store and 10 sleeping rooms. 1965, a permit was issued to add fire doors to the first floor stores. 1970, a permit was issued for alterations to the second floor for clothing sales. In 1972, a storefront was converted to a clothing display. There is one variance on file, calendar number 18-129. This board granted a variance to establish use as a restaurant at this site with a variance required for 10 parking spaces. They were proposing 0 in that case and were granted the variance with no conditions. Madam Chair, there is nothing else of note in the more recent history.
What year was that? I'm sorry.
2018. That's calendar 18-129. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board is requesting a use variance and area variances from the minimum distance requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unmitigated hardship particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, that granting variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zone.
Thank you. All right. Are you going to be the spokesperson or you?
I'll be the spokesman.
Okay. Tell us what you'd like to do.
We'd like to open a private tattoo studio. So you can see in the photo underneath the 1985, it is gated and you do have to be buzzed upon entry. And so with that being said, I know that one of the concerns was the school, and proximity to these children and churches, et cetera, but we will not necessarily be open to the public.
So you're appointment only?
Appointment only, yes, appointment only.
And are you on the first, are you on the street level or?
We
you-
are located on the second floor. The
Second
street
floor.
level is the smoothie.
Okay, so you'll be on the second floor.
Second floor, yes.
And it's still gonna remain buzz to entry?
Bus entry, yes.
Yeah, and also I'd like to say, we also just don't tattoo minors anyways, so.
Yeah.
I
That's not, you can't, can you, anyway? Oh,
With
some
parental
people-
permission.
Yeah.
With permission,
We-
yeah.
Yeah,
right,
regardless, we just don't,
Yeah.
so, yeah. Some people do still.
yeah, all right. Okay, so need to know hours of operation, even though you're gonna be appointment only.
Usually never there past 8 o'clock.
So we're going to be doing booth rental for the artists, which will allow them to come in and out when they have appointments. Operation will be anywhere from 9 a.m. Most likely at the latest 9 p.m. Typically I'm out by 7. But if someone does have unfinished work, we're not just going to push them out the door with unfinished work.
Right, but they'll be vacated by 9.
Yeah,
PM.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So this is a booth rental situation?
Yes.
Did you say days a week?
Yeah.
Did you say, I'm sorry.
All
I
days.
didn't get
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, I'm
So,
sorry.
7 days.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Any other questions, board?
Madam Chair, I have a few questions. I just want to talk about the plans themselves. So you're on the second floor.
Yes.
Your patrons will buzz in, will they make an appointment with
Yes.
one of your tattoo artists? They buzz in, they walk up to the second floor, and then if you could tell us just about your plans, and I see we have.
Yeah, so when you enter, that's going to be it's a very small waiting area. We have plans to hire no more than 2 artists with a potential fluctuating guest artist here and there. So all in all, 4 full-time artists, myself, him, and then 2 other people that we would intend to bring on. Which you can see the dividing wall with the label workstations there. All workstations will be along that center dividing wall. Our stations are going to be on both far ends. But the waiting areas as you enter, around the other small wall that you see will kind of be like an office printer area, et cetera, for all the artists, which is easily accessible to everyone. The hand washing sink, we're actually going to use the main kitchen sinks to that, which you can see on the very far end near the fire escape. That will be the sink for the artists to utilize hand washing and will not be used for food products. We did remove the stove. That is no longer there.
Okay, so it's not really a functioning.
It is not a functioning kitchen anymore after we remove the stove. We do have a fridge to hold water for clients because I think that's important when people are getting this work done. But that will be used for hand washing, and then the cabinets are going to be used for storage. So that's storage of equipment. And then the part labeled closet is going to be cleaning equipment and stuff like that.
Is there a changing room or anything like that?
Oh, there's a bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a full bathroom.
Okay. And what's the fire escape situation?
There's a metal fire escape, and then I think they took the metal stairs out, but they have like a drop ladder thing.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're on the second floor?
Second floor, yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
City planning?
Yep. City planning?
Maurice Rollins, City Planning, we have no objections to this. We support this proposal. It's a relatively small space, kind of consistent with the local retail, and the fact that it's by appointment only, there's no retail frontage really at all advertising. You gotta get the bus to get in, which are really what number 2 in the variances are aimed at, attracting minors, what have you. Of course, I also have to point out that it's very old. This is a very old statute that
Right.
probably needs to be updated considering where society has gone these days. So we routinely approve these types of smaller, upper story, by appointment only tattoo shops. So we.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just one more question. You will have signage on the door or?
A very small sign. I intended to have the name of the business once we kind of decide on that. And then it is going to say appointment only, potentially with like a QR code that links to our social media. And then floor
Okay.
2. That way they know that it's floor 2. But I would like to have at least something small so that when you walk up, you go, oh yes, this is a tattoo shop, because it doesn't really look like.
Yeah, and it also has, I don't know if you saw in the other picture, it has like 3 signs for the businesses that are there. So it was like, yeah, it was 3 square signs are owned by that owner. So that
I
middle
see.
one, I think, used to be
Yeah.
the 3rd floor. They're not no longer there, so we could get that potentially. But we're also thinking on the 2nd floor where our particular door is, getting a glass door and putting the business name on it and everything, because just to make sure like it's going to the wrong place or anything.
Yeah, good idea. I like the QR code too. Okay, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Hours and days of business, obviously, in the motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve calendar number 23-109. After hearing testimony today, the official hours of the business for the record will be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And the appellant has stated there will be no more than 4 tattoo artists.
With one fluctuating guest
With one
artist.
fluctuating guest artist.
Yeah, I put 5 workstations in the plans as like a maximum that would ever be there. I know the square footage wise, they say 9 people can be in there, which is, I think
That's
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
So
Yeah.
five total.
Yeah.
So 5.
Five total. For the purposes of my motion, I move to approve.
Could I have a second, please?
Board Member Holzer seconds.
All right. Ms. Kukla?
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
Calendar 23-109 is granted. Will be ratified next week, and we will send the appellants a letter.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There you go.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have Deborah Gray on the call, Councilwoman Deborah Gray.
All right. In case no one heard my announcement at the beginning, when we have city council present, we move them to forward on the agenda. And I've just been informed we have Councilperson Gray with us, so we will move to calendar number 23-058.
All right, our next case is calendar number 23-058. This is at 2923 East 125th Street. Shelda Brantley proposes to establish use as a residential facility for 8 occupants in a B12 family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. This case was a first postponement was made of this case at the request of the board to allow time for the appellant to meet with Councilwoman Gray and to update drawings to show dimensions of the bedrooms and the number of beds in each. A second postponement was made at the request of Councilwoman Gray. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roca for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. I will start with anyone on the phone. Do we have anyone on the call for this case?
You have Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Gray? Councilwoman Gray?
She's muted.
I believe you're muted.
Is she
Hold
on
me
the
on
phone?
one moment. One
Okay.
moment.
Well, I'll read the oath while you're doing that. I'm swearing in all.
Okay, thank you.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address. And Ms. Gray, if you'd like to proceed. Okay, well, we'll go, while she's
still on mute, so we'll do these.
okay, we'll move to the individuals in the room. If you'd like to, ma'am, state I do, your name and your address for the record.
I do, Lois Henry, 2919 East 125. That's Cleveland, 44120.
Shelda Brantley, 2923 East 125th Street, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Gray, are you available on still? I see her.
Councilwoman Gray, are you available to swear in now?
She's on.
I apologize. She's coming.
Okay, thank you.
And we proceed and maybe just back to that.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's do history of the property. Did we already do that since we're postponed?
Yes, Madam
Was
Chair,
it
we
read?
took testimony at the last hearing. Not sure if this was read in, probably was, but just to remind you.
Yeah, let's.
It was postponed from April 24th to allow time for the appellant to meet with the councilwoman and update their drawings to show number and placement of beds and dimensions of bedrooms. And then it was, so that was rescheduled to June 5th. On June 5th, the councilwoman requested a postponement. I guess she needed to still meet with the appellant. It hadn't occurred yet, so we postponed it to July 10th. And so
Which
that
brings us to today.
correct. I do have this. I don't see the number of beds, but there are photos that were submitted showing the numbers of beds and the dimensions on it.
Okay. Reading. Which is. Liz, I'm gonna disassemble this for a second. It's thick, that's what it is. Okay. So bedroom number 3. Here, okay.
As
One bed.
one bed,
Okay.
not seeing that.
I'm just seeing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just the one bed.
So this has 2 bed. This one has 2, 4, 5.
Okay.
That says 8. Confused.
You good?
Yeah, well, we'll be here.
Okay.
We'll send it over to Ms. Holzer.
Legal standards, do you have anything else you want to add?
Madam Chair, members of the board, the appellant is requesting a use variance and an area variance from the minimum distance requirements from zoning code. To obtain use variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship to the owners of property, such that there will be no economic or feasible use of the property without variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, the appellant must prove that denying the request will create practical difficulty not generally shared by other landowners in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Great, thank you.
It's like Councilwoman Grace now.
Yes.
But
I saw her face, so it's great. Hello, Councilwoman. We're gonna swear you in now.
Do you swear to tell the truth? Did you swear or affirm the testimony you were about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please state your name, state your, say I do, your name and your address.
and you're muted.
And you're muted currently.
Councilwoman, you're on mute. You need to unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm sorry.
That's
Councilwoman
okay.
Councilwoman Deborah Gray, 601 Lakeside Avenue. Cleveland,
Thank you.
44115.
Thank you. All right. We, while we were waiting, we went ahead with the history of the property and the reading of the legal standards. So we're going to go ahead and have the ladies tell us what they want to do.
Okay.
So what I like to do is utilize, well, let me back up. The property has already been approved for 5 residents. The state has already licensed it and approved it. So what I wanted to do was add 3 additional people. I have the space. I walked Councilman Gray through the facility. I showed her how there's 8 beds already set up. And so I would like to have seniors with mental health issues reside in this home. And I just want to keep in mind that, you know, we're all going to get older, and the nursing home, I'm just trying to be that liaison between them living independently and not necessarily having to resort into a nursing home. They're not violent, they're not offenders. They're going to be they're very quiet, very laid back people. They're not going to be any disturbance to my neighbors. I've had this house for 10 years. I've never had any issues. There were times in there where I didn't upkeep the property as I should have, but I had medical issues, death of my sister. So now that things are better for me, I would like to, get back into providing service to the residents.
So can you give us a resident to staff ratio and when you're going to have staff on duty? Just sort of break down all the specifics for us.
Okay, so the staff will be from 9 to 5. And then there'll be a staff from 3 to, well, midnight. So it'll be 12 to 8. In the evening, I may come by, periodically, but they'll be so high functioning, they don't require 24 hours supervision.
Now, you mentioned seniors with mental health issues. Can you give us what's the age that you're defining seniors as, and what type of mental health issues are you?
The ages will be 50 and up, 50 to 80. Mental health issues will be from bipolar, schizoaffective, schizophrenia, major depression, but they'll be all managed with their medication.
And are you going to be dispensing medication on site?
Yes, the meds will come pre-packed from the pharmacy, and I will make sure that the residents take their medication.
So are staff administering, or are the residents going to be able to take them themselves?
The residents will be able to take them themselves.
Okay. And coming and going of the residents on and off?
They have the freedom to come and go as they please.
Okay.
Curfew is 10 o'clock, so they would be in the house by 10.
Are any of them going to be driving themselves?
None of them will be driving.
Okay, so they'll use public transit or ride share or paratransit. Meals on site?
Yes.
And so someone's preparing those or cooking those?
Yes, there'll be the staff from the 9 to 5 will be preparing meals on site.
Okay. All right. Councilman Gray, would you like to give us your statement?
Yes. Well, I met Miss Brittany, that's how you pronounce your last name?
Yes.
Yes, I met with her a month or so ago and did a tour in this building on 125th, as well as her, one of her other buildings in Ward 2. However, I went through the building, we did the tour, and my question and concern was that she's going to have, she wanted as a 8-bedroom dwelling. However, my concern was how she's going to put 2 people in a room who have mental issues and don't know each other, and how would that affect both of them of just being in the same room together in 2 separate rooms together, that she have 2 bedrooms. So that was my question to her and my concern. However, my next concern was for her to meet the residents so they can know who she is and what her intent, would be in the group home. So she did come to my community meeting at Hallis Simpson Park last month, and she met one resident, and she's there, Lois Henry, and they had a conversation. I wasn't part of it because I told her that she has to engage with the residents on the street. So she had 30 days to go back on the street to talk to all the residents that's on that street so they can be aware of the housing situation. And far as I know, that didn't happen in those 30 days because I talked with Lois Henry, who's there, and asked, did she engage with other residents? Did she do a tour? Because at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the resident to, to decide if they want the group home on their street. And she said that Miss Bradley did not contact anyone, and Miss Bradley, did not, give them a tour. So due to that, this is kind of challenging for me as a council, but due to that, I will side with the residents on how they want to move forward, with this situation. But Ms. Bradley did not engage with any of the residents on the streets, in the last 30 days.
Okay. We have Miss Henry here with us, so we'll hear her statement. And thank you, Councilwoman. Miss Henry?
Okay. She been there 10 years. I never spoke to her other than last Saturday at the meeting. Never knew her name or anything. So she's the peoples that she bring in is just unsavory. From day one, it's been a hassle for the street. And none of I talked to all of them. Everybody on the street that I talked to said the same thing. They don't want it. Because for me, I live next door.
Which side do you live next to? 1 second. Okay.
To the right.
To the right. Okay.
Did I get it? The pink house.
Okay.
Okay. I live there. And it's so bad. No one is in the house with them. So they do as they please. On one occasion, the screen in the window, when I walk down my step, I'm facing a bedroom. The guy slept in there, that they had pushed the screen out. And when I walk down my steps, they engage with me, talking to me. There's no screen, no barrier between, no barrier between us or anything. So I'm frightened. I got foster kids that had a challenge. They scared to go. And you don't have to catch the bus to go where they have to go. Someone has to be there all times to kind of watch them to make sure everything is okay. I've saw urinating off the front porch. These things I've seen with my own eyes. And I don't believe it's going to get any better. So the neighborhood, I'm sure some of them sent some letters in. We don't even want the group home there, period. Because we keep going through the same thing over and over. And I do not think it's going to get any better. Because they are not supervised.
So at this point, there's 5 people in the house.
No.
I don't know. There's one person.
You have approval for 5.
I have approval.
Okay.
The only thing before us is 3 additional people.
Right.
And a lot of what Ms. Henry was talking about was before I had the house. The incidents that occurred, I didn't own the house at that time. As far as the staffing, I would make sure that all of my clients are supervised and they're doing what they're supposed to do. I have other facilities I have no problems, no issues with. I keep them very controlled. If it's somebody that I cannot manage, I don't even keep. I'm very selective on who I bring in. I'm just not randomly picking people. I'm known through the Mental Health Association, and so I get calls all the time because every time I get a person, my residents stay with me for years. This is my 17th year. And I have people that's been with me for 15 years. And I haven't had any issues. I just had a state survey. I passed my surveys with no citations, no corrections, no paperwork. Everything that I had, everything passed, flying colors. I just got a grant. And if I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, they definitely would not have given me anybody. And so I know that there is some concerns with Ms. Henry, but the way our houses are, she has a fence up now, so she can't even see over into my house. So the fences were guarded. So I went to the back of my house. I couldn't see. It's a white fence, and it's very difficult to see through on her side of her property. But I won't have anybody over there that's disturbing the neighbors at all.
Ms. Brantley, very often when, excuse me for interrupting, but very often when we have situations like this, and we get them a lot, the person that has the home will go up and down the street, talk with the neighbors, and have them sign a petition. Did you do anything like that? Do you have a petition for us?
I didn't do the petition, but I did go to a few of the neighbors. A couple of the people I knocked on their door, they didn't answer. There was a lady that was across the street that's like adjacent to me. It appears that she has some issues there, so I didn't think she understood. I did talk to Ms. Henry, and the house that's across the street is vacant. I didn't go to her neighbor. I did see a guy outside. I tried to catch him, but he didn't. He was on his way somewhere else, so he didn't have time to talk.
Okay.
So I did reach out. It's not like I just absolutely didn't do anything. That's a very quiet street. There's a lot of abandoned houses on that street. So it makes it very difficult to get the approval. But a lot of what Ms. Henry has experienced was before I even got the house.
Liz, do we have any letters or any communication from any of the other neighbors?
I did receive one. I read it in last time. If you'd like me to read the highlights again, I can.
If you would, please.
This is from Sydney Bartel. She states that I do not support this group home exemption and request that it be denied because of the already oversaturation of group homes and facilities that is strangling our neighborhood. All neighborhoods should support group homes within reason, and we already have so many. However, we are oversaturated in Buckeye. These folks do not live in the neighborhood or even the city, and they buy homes here for cheap and then dump the problems on us who have been there for 10, 20 years, so on and so forth. She claims that this owner is known as a bad operator of group homes. She stated that she illegally has used this home on East 125th Street, which we know is not true because we have permits. But,
Right.
She goes on to say she has numerous entities, including Turning Point. She said 3427 East 147th Street, which she claims is owned by the appellant, is a dump and a slum and is operated as a group home. She mentioned that we should look at the Google images. She claims that the appellant has done no work to the property, that it's just weathered and dilapidated for years. This person claims that the appellant does not pay taxes and has tax foreclosures. She owns this address, which is in terrible shape. She also owns property on Lotus Drive, East 143rd Street, East 147th Street, and another one on East 147th Street, and they are in horrible shape. Also, she is known to operate these homes illegally, and she referenced a Cuyahoga County civil case. I'm not sure if I should read that. It's in the file.
Yeah,
records.
let's.
And again, she goes back to say there are too many group homes in the area. The streets are full of zombies from the group homes and numerous transitional apartments and drug treatment facilities that saturate the neighborhood. And she, again, at the end, she states Please stand up for the neighborhoods and tell these folks no to extracting all the wealth out of the neighborhoods, no to having a business that doesn't reinvest in the home they are profiting off of, no to not fixing up buildings, no to outside investors like this operator, no to people who cheat on their employees, no to East 125th Street group home. Thank you and God bless.
And this is a neighbor that lives on the street?
Let's see, but she,
Yes,
Sydney Bartel. I'm not sure, did Councilwoman Gray just speak?
She just said, yes.
This is a person that I've never in my life met, don't know anything about me. A lot of the things that she found out was public knowledge, but it wasn't true. As far as my taxes is concerned, when I purchased some of the property, there were back taxes, so you're gonna assume those taxes when you purchase the property. As far as 2923, I currently owe $4,000 in back taxes, so I'm on a payment plan. But neither here or there, that doesn't have anything to do with, all I'm asking for is 3 additional people. And so you have to dig up and make me look bad on paper because of something that I'm sincerely trying to do for the community. I'm looking to employ people. I think that these people should have the right to live anywhere they want to live. Mental health is huge right now. And so you can become mentally ill at any point of your life or any stage of your life. And for these people to be seniors for whatever condition and things that they're going through, they should have the right to live. A lot of them they're totally independent. They don't necessarily want to go to a nursing home. Their end should not be a nursing home. They should be able, if they can do for themselves, I think they should have the right to live in the community.
Well, what is before us is the 3 additional people.
Right.
So we heard that, the reading of the letter, and, you know, we are looking at what is actually before us, which is the 3 additional people. Okay. City planning?
Maurice Wilson, City Planning. I think we're gonna have to err on the side of caution with this and you know, heed the comments of Councilwoman Gray and the neighbors. Unless we can get more support from the neighborhood, I would not support moving this to 8 individuals at this point, without further evidence of support from the neighborhood. They are the people that have to live there right next door to it. So we often err on the side of caution with that.
Questions or comments, board?
Yes, Madam Chair, I do have a question, based on the testimony that we heard from Councilwoman Gray, that one of her concerns, Ms. Brantley, was people that didn't know each other sharing a room. I think that is a very valid concern. So I'd like you to speak to that as it relates to the 3 additional people you'd like to have and sharing of rooms.
So how the process works is they contact me and I get like a face sheet of everything that's going on with the person. And before I even put them in the room together, I make sure that there's some similarities, making sure that they get along, making sure that they have things in common, looking at their diagnoses and making sure that they're not gonna agitate each other, because sometimes with mental health, that can happen. And I make sure that they do things together and build a rapport. And we do a lot of community events and things like that. So it's not like I'm just throwing them in there. Their diagnoses have to be similar. They have to have things in common, things that they can get along with. Because 9 times out of 10, they're coming out of a situation, either from a nursing home or a hospital where they've shared rooms already. So it's not like it's something new to them. They're just looking for a place they can relax and they can call home and be comfortable. And they can be treated fairly and have the rights as we have. That's what they're looking for. And that's what I like to provide to them.
Ms. Brantley, is this single sex housing or is it co-ed?
Co-ed.
Co-ed, okay.
May I say something to that?
Absolutely.
Yes, even though Ms. Bradley has her valid reason for her to put people who don't know each other in the same room per se, I still think, for me, I think that would still be uncomfortable for the 2 people who don't know each other that's in an open space. The rooms are completely open with no, with no divider, that separates them from sleeping, from dressing, from even staying in the room. So I addressed that to her. But still, for me, I think that would be uncomfortable for two strangers, regardless if they have some similarity of mental mental,
Compatibility.
yes, yes. I still think that, that still will be uncomfortable for two strangers. However, I know that she wants to pursue this, but it still will be uncomfortable for the residents to understand the comfortability for them to see that these residents will get along in the house, and they the ones have to bear the burden when no one's there. And even though that she wants to add 3 additional people, I don't think that 3 additional people should be added at this time. And also she can also look at this place as a rental place. If she can't get those 3 additional patients, she can look at it at a rental house, more so as a group home, if she still wants to profit from it.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. Go ahead.
Speaking on in the same room together, I know she saw this stuff happen before, but a lady had ran out of that house to my back door screaming, saying she's being raped. I said, call. I didn't know her name at that time. Call. We don't have a phone in the house.
I did not own a property at that time.
This is what I.
You had that experience. Okay. All right.
Just
All right.
one more thing for me. When they're pairing the people up, it's kind of like when your kids are going to college. They're going to room. You may not necessarily know who you're going to share a room with, but you're there for one common reason, and that's for college. So the concept somewhat means the same. It's not. I don't want to get so fixed on the mental health piece of it, but because they've been in the system majority of their life, they're seniors, so they're used to living together. They're used to cohabitating. It's nothing new for them. They come right in and they're fine. And I've never had a problem in 17 years with people cohabitating at all.
Okay. All right, board, anything else? All right, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Ms. Holzer, or would you, I can take it if you're. I'll move forward. I move to deny calendar number 23-058 upon hearing testimony from the appellant, neighbors, adjacent neighbors, and letters in the record, also testimony from Councilwoman Gray. I move that we deny the variances for 3 additional residents at the group home.
Could I have a second, please?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Ms. Kukla, if you call the roll, please.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Bates?
Yes.
Calendar number 23-058 is denied. This decision will be ratified next week, and we will send the appellant a letter.
All right, Councilman Gray, good to see you. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem. Everyone have a good day.
You as well. All right. All right, go ahead.
Our next case is calendar number 22-138. This is at 3820 West 33rd Street. Cheryl Manthe, owner, proposes to install approximately 120 linear feet of 6-foot-high wooden fence in a C1 multifamily residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. This case was postponed from May 8th in order to allow time for the appellant to consider updating the plans to be more code conforming. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roper for the oath.
You folks can come on up. Oh, you want to
Oh, you wanna
request a
postpone?
postponement?
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Kukla?
Okay, Madam Chair. Let's do 30 days on that one, at the beginning of August 7th.
Okay, good. August 7th. All right.
So Madam Chair, I'll just announce it for anybody that's on the call that calendar number 22-138 will not be today. No testimony will be taken. It's been postponed to August 7th. If you received a letter in the mail, you will receive another letter in the mail closer to the date hearing date. Thank you.
All right. 138.
I think this is our last one.
Yeah.
I'm mistaken. Calendar number 23-091. This is at 15707 Eldemere Avenue. Jamal Warith, owner, proposes to construct a new two-story, 2,100 square foot single-family residence with attached garage in a B12 family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are two. This case is postponed from June 12th to allow time for the appellant to consider shifting the house to the opposite side of the lot and also for the appellant to meet with HDRS. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Roca for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holzer. I don't think I see anyone on the phone. Is there anyone on the phone for this case?
We have him in person today.
Oh, great. Sir, if you would like to come a little closer to the microphone.
And you're here for this case as well,
If
right?
you want to.
You're returning with us, so if
Okay.
you'd like to step forward as well.
I'll read the oath. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address. Sir?
Jamal Ward, I do 2319 North Taylor, Cleveland Heights 44112.
Thank you.
She has a hearing job.
Right, I remember.
Oh,
Yes, I remember.
thank you for your consideration.
Sure. So we just need you to raise your right hand.
And state I do, state your name and your address.
I do. Carol Pesco Resnock, 15613 Eldemere Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44128.
And we have a court reporter, so if you could just spell your last name.
Pesko Resnock, Reznak. Pesco Resnock.
Thank you.
Are you making testimony as well? Okay, go ahead.
I do. Karen Pesco Gill, 15613 Eldemere Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44128.
Thank you.
All right, we've had the history of the property. Is there anything else to bring us up to speed? Liz?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, and we've had the legal standard. So, it's Ward, right, is your last name?
Warwick.
Warwick, that's right. Thank you. All right. So we had requested when we met with you previously, to look at the setback issues that were, under consideration that day. So would you like to tell us what you've done?
Yes, so we did trim the side of the garage to meet the minimum 18-inch side yard setback. We weren't able to shift the entire home because we are at 3 feet on the right side of the home for the side yard setback on the adjacent neighbor. So it was a possibility that it might have, I think it was brought that it might have been 5 feet, but it is actually 3 feet. So we weren't able to shift the home, but we did
Could you
trim,
give me like northeast, southwest, please? So the neighbor to, I'm looking at the, do you have a,
so the left side, I guess that would be the north, north side of the, northwest side of the.
Yeah.
So this is the 1'6", this is the garage on this side.
okay,
Okay,
And then would be the standard 3-foot side yard setback that they have on this side.
okay,
okay.
So they modified this so that this was at 1 feet, it's now at 1'6".
okay. So we have the 18 inches.
Right.
Okay,
And also, I believe it was brought up at the last meeting about the fence. The fence is our fence, it's on our property. We had Polaris Engineer who did the original survey, came back out this morning to remark the pins. So I think they had a concern about the gate, but the gate is actually on our property.
did they just pin at the four corners or did you have it staked at any interval along the lot line?
So they did a full survey originally, but we did meet with the councilman there and we were trying to actually find the pins or markings. So we couldn't find them. So I called Polaris while we were there.
Okay,
And Dustin, who actually is the owner of Polaris Engineering and Surveyor, will send his team back out this morning to mark the pin. But on the drawings, it does state about the fence being removed because it's on our property from the original survey from the topo. We did meet with Councilman Jones Thursday on the property. He was very supportive. He sent a letter of support. He was happy to have new development in his ward that was modern and different. And he felt that being the new design, not being the old designs that are consistently there, nothing against it, but it would bring some new life to his ward, and he's in full support of it.
do we have that letter, Liz?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right, great. And did anything change with the elevation or,
No,
no? Okay, so you still have the cantilever.
yes,
The garage is at the 18-foot side setback
yes,
and you can't move any further to the other direction because you're at the 3-foot setback
yes,
on that side yard.
yes.
Okay. All right. So at this point, Maurice, they fulfilled all the variances?
Madam Chair, so as you know, because the garage is attached, it still requires
Yes.
by code a 3-foot side yard. However, 18 inches that they have been able to meet would be sufficient if the garage were detached. So from the neighboring property owner's perspective, the fact that it's attached or detached doesn't really affect the distance from the property line. You understand what I'm kind of saying here?
Right, right. I had actually,
If you took,
I was still thinking it was detached. I'd forgotten it wasn't.
it's attached.
Yeah.
So that they still require that variance. We are in support of that variance because we've supported these in many other cases. It's a somewhat tight site. We're very happy that, we're getting a new home here. The rear yard is also another variance that we often grant. There is sufficient. The actual dimension is, what was the dimension of the actual rear yard? And the problem with the rear yard is also because the garage is attached as opposed to being detached.
Right.
And that affects that.
Yeah,
But there is a sufficient rear
right,
yard.
it's 30 feet. It's 30 feet.
Instead of 20 feet. We're supposed to be 20 feet, right?
Right.
So the rear setback is not counted because the garage is attached. If the garage were detached, then it's a permitted encroachment into the rear yard.
Right.
So because it's attached, I don't believe the 30-foot actually counts towards the rear yard. Am I correct with that summation, Mr. Riccardi?
Right.
That is correct. Yes, that's right.
So there is a rear yard. It's a technicality, but because the garage is attached, is the reason why it doesn't count.
Okay,
We have 29.
29.
29 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 9 foot variance, is that right? 9 feet off?
Mhm.
Madam Chair, I don't know if that's true. What's the dimensions from the rear property line to the back of the garage? We have that.
It's 30 feet. It's up right there on screen. The rear setback is 30 feet.
So, where the garage is located is not 30.
Oh, where the garage is 1 foot.
So they'll be 1 foot off the property line where they need 20 feet. Because the garage is attached, the rear yard would start
I see.
Right.
at the back of the
Right.
whole structure, the whole structure.
Are those newer plans than what we have up on the screen?
Yeah, we updated, cause I think they had the plan drawings that didn't show, they wanted the door to face the street. So we have resubmitted showing that the door does face the street, it wasn't
Okay.
off to the side of the street.
And it looked like on the elevation that, did you change your finishing materials on the
No.
front facade?
No, that's still what we had last. week.
Okay,
And
so
with
it's,
the, planning committee approval.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that brick or is that board and bed?
It's actually, vertical siding and hardy board.
Hardy board,
Right, so there's
vertical.
no right, so no cement because of the change in the weather, it would crack,
Okay,
stucco will crack because we got the cold winters and stuff, it'd be too much maintenance, so
right.
hardy siding.
So the part, turn around. Okay, so it is, so this, well, this
Oh,
is-
right, so that's like a board and batten
Yeah, that's
style.
board and batten.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Then
fine.
the smooth finish is hardy. So-
Right, okay. All right, so that remains the same anyway. So what, we're really looking at the rear yard and
Interior side yard.
the interior
Or
side.
the attached garage.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, ladies?
I just wanted to ask, so according to what the builder is saying, when they build their garage, they're taking down the fence between the two driveways? Is that
Which
what's
fence is
happening?
coming down?
It's on his property.
Okay, so he's saying the fence is on their property, they
Well,
had it surveyed.
I too talked to the surveyor this morning, Mike, and he said the fence was not a problem. That's what he told me directly this morning.
I'm just answering the issue, they brought up about the fence last week.
Right,
But
right.
it's not even chain link, it's an old wire fence, there's trees growing all through it and things. It's very rusted, kind of a eyesore. I don't think anybody would want it, I mean, but.
You have plans
you're
to
getting a new fence,
replace-
You're getting a new, right, there'll
Yeah.
be a new fence between the
So
property.
board on board privacy
Yes,
fence.
right,
Okay,
exactly.
all right.
Yeah. Or shadow box. Probably a shadow box looks a little more aesthetically, versus the board on board.
Most of the plans.
Yeah,
But yeah, board.
Oh,
we're fine with that.
I was just gonna say.
Okay.
So they're planning to put a new fence up if they get the variance. All right, well, I just wanted to understand what that was about
Sure.
the fence.
It's not,
That's a
it,
new thing.
it
I
is
didn't
not one of
remember.
our agenda items, but I know it was a point of concern for you ladies.
All right,
So,
so with that being said, go ahead,
Yeah,
Cynthia.
good morning, Madam Chair. I would just like to say that I just only need 5 minutes to relate my concerns. Our home, 15613, was built in 1925, and we feel it should be protected. Because our home was an earlier build, we have a unique situation with our property and the property next door at 15707. And it's that the two driveways
Show the picture again.
are side by side.
Compared
And
with
our,
other
with
houses.
the other houses on Eldemere Avenue, there's a house, then a driveway, a house, then a driveway, and so on, making the garages between the properties stagger. But our situation is different, as I mentioned, the two driveways are side by side, and our drive is at a lower grade. So if this 18-inch variance is granted at 15707, is that the problem is because we want to build our future garage at the end of our driveway, and we should not be denied that potential. Then and in building our own garage back there, then we should also be given the same variance. However, both properties would be adversely affected because with only an 18-inch variance between garages would be too close to each other. Point number 2 is, then what would happen when we build our own garage next to their garage, and we also only have this 18-inch variance like what they're asking for, then our overhang of the roof would come right up to the property line. He built his garage 18 inches, that's the foundation. Then you have the overhang, okay? So then if we have our garage 18 inches, we have our overhang, they would butt up against each other, which would be totally impractical. Or since my roof line, as I mentioned, is the lower grade, then what would happen is the water would run off his roof, hit my roof, and then bounce back to the side of his building, which would be detrimental to both foundations to be that close. On the other hand, if the two buildings were to be built on each other's property with the current ordinance of 3 feet, and if that 3 feet ordinance is enforced and left unchanged, this would allow for the two buildings to be built on each other's property with a total of 6 feet between both buildings, making the current 3 feet ordinance in the best interest of both parties when put into practice. We are asking that the current code of 3 feet be maintained. Number 3, about the changing of the code, I think it is odd that the builder is asking the city to change their code. Instead, he should design a house and a garage that complies with the current ordinances to be considerate of the best interests of other existing property. He could shorten his garage or curve his driveway away from the property edge, just like my neighbor on the other side, just like my neighbor at the other side has done. She's Mary Ann Gillespie, and she lives next door to me on the other side.
And she built her garage with the 3-foot variance. And in order to get the 3 foot, as my sister mentioned, she curved her driveway.
As you can see in the photo, this illustrates that these current ordinances were set up for the best interest of other adjoining properties. It should be the builder's responsibility to make sure his design is in compliance with existing codes. Otherwise, the granting of an 18-inch variance between property lines for this type of build will set a precedent for other new builds or remodels to request and expect the same, which could cause problems and disputes between neighbors in the community. Number 4. Something else about the proposed build of this next door garage is that there will be a much larger amount of runoff, and we discussed this at the previous meeting. Because it is not a 1-car garage, but a 2-car garage design, added to this is the attachment that is going to connect the garage to the house, and that roof line is also going to be slanted toward our property. Having a much bigger structure and roof area will automatically create a much bigger runoff. This much bigger structure of a 2-car garage, if its foundation is allowed only 18 inches from our property, then the roof overhang of the structure could possibly overhang right up to our property line, making everything that comes off that roof jump right onto our property. And finally, the builder is changing the roof slant to be towards our property. I have a photo, it's the second of 2 that I'm submitting, of what most 1-car garages look like on our street, and also the garages behind our house. That would be the street behind us. This is also the same design that previously stood at 15707. As you can see, the roof line is slanting towards the back of the property and not towards the side, so that the runoff on the garage is directed to the back of each person's property, which has a code of not 1 foot, but 3 foot in the back, because you have garages that are in the back of people's property all the way back there, and they're all 3 foot from their property line and 3 foot to allow that 6 foot that I was saying would be necessary to keep those roofs and the water, rain and ice from impacting each other's buildings. So because there is the 3 foot in the back of these garages, this puts a 6 foot spacing between foundation. Finally, I want to say it is good reason that there is a 3 foot zoning code in the back and side of each garage so that neighbors can build side by side without adversely impacting each other's property or buildings from the runoff of rain, snow, and ice. And so we are asking that the current 3 foot code, 3 foot code of that distance be maintained and upheld.
Did you have anything else to add?
Yes, and mine also, I timed it so I could stay under the 5 minutes. Your time.
And as I did before, I know you ladies did a lot of preparation, but please try to not cover anything that your sister has covered.
Okay.
Okay? And try and keep the comments to what we're talking about today.
All right. Well, I'm a little confused about the difference with the footage on the other side of the property. So according to what's been said this morning, they don't have room to adjust the garage to the 3 feet. Is that what you're saying? Because of the property?
I'm not saying that, it would be the developer that's saying.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So anyways, as the current homeowners, what we wanted to say is, since it was brought out at the first hearing that the lot had room to move the house over from our property, we felt there was no need for a variance to be granted because this variance is going to adversely affect our property. So the code of 3 feet is in place to protect homeowners. So we're asking that this current code of 3 feet between the proposed garage and our adjoining properties be upheld. We are also concerned about the impervious surfaces as mentioned about the roof line and the runoff. So I'll skip some of that. Also, this is quite a large building. I'd like to say we're not unhappy about a new build in the neighborhood or even next door to us. That house has been an eyesore for our beautiful home next door, our historic home that we worked to maintain all these years. As I mentioned, my parents bought the house in 1951. It's been in our family since 1951 and we want to protect it. So it's been an eyesore for a while. We were hoping somebody would come and do something with it and a new build would be fine, but we don't, a 2,100 square foot on that side and the fact that topography, our property is lower, we're going to be adversely affected by that. So again, since it was brought out in the hearing on the 12th that there was room to adjust that house, we felt there was no need for this variance to be granted. And the coding that's in force is to protect the surrounding properties. So we're asking that the board do maintain the 3 foot coding. I think that's all I was going to say. The other thing was about the cantilever affecting us adversely, whereas without taking away from the builder's square footage that they want or how they want, how much room they want for their second story, if they move the cantilever as shown in the street to the front, the other side, the back, it wouldn't impact us. So that was another request about that. But as you mentioned, I realize this hearing is only for the rezoning. But even with the cantilever staying facing our property, keeping the 3 foot variance helps with that issue as well. So thank you, the board members, for listening to us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ladies. All right.
Madam Chair, to clarify a point, if the appellant were to erect, or sorry, if the neighbors were to erect a detached garage on their property, they would only be required to build that 18 inches off the property line.
Right.
It's not the 3 feet for them because it wouldn't be attached. Now, if you were attaching it, then they would have to have the 3 foot.
Mary Ann, she has her detached 2-car garage It has the longer, roof line, and, she has the 3 feet, so if in the future, if she wanted to attach her garage to her house, she has that option without having to come before the board and say, oh, oops, you know, my garage is 18 inches, now I'd like to attach it to my house. She already has that set up, so she can just go ahead and do her bill.
Right. That's her house. She's not here. That's, you know, I mean, that's a choice that she made. And you mentioned about setting a precedent. And I want to be sure that you understand when we have a variance case that comes before us, we look at each one individually. Because we often hear people saying, oh, this is going to set a precedent. Well, each case is looked at individually and doesn't, you know, so if the other neighbor were to come before us, that case would be evaluated. If you were to come before us, your case would be evaluated. Okay, it doesn't.
I understand, thanks.
It's not a blanket adaptation.
She's bedridden, she's 90 years old.
Right. So
I'm sorry, I just
Okay.
want to make sure
I
I'm
have a
clear. So when you were testifying about a proposed garage, if someone were to build a garage, were you testifying to you potentially building garage or your neighbor who's bedridden?
No, the neighbor has her garage
Okay.
built.
Yeah,
We're
it's in
talking
that
about future plans we have talked
You're
about.
talking about
Right.
your property. Okay,
Yes,
I just want to
yes.
make sure I'm clear about that.
right.
Yes.
And I think
The unusual thing is with the 2 driveways being side by side, how difficult if that's
Because now
allowed,
you have
because
2 garages side by side, and it's not like that normally on the street. You don't
Right.
usually
Right.
have that situation.
so 18
Yeah.
inches.
Trust me, it happens in a lot of places
Oh,
though.
okay.
Okay, it's not unusual.
Oh, I see.
And so if you were in the future to build a detached garage, 1 car, 2 car, you would be building it 18 inches off the property line,
their property line, Yeah.
your property line.
not 3 feet.
So even
Not
though-
3
even
feet.
though If his is 18, they'd be hitting each other because of the driveway.
Yeah, what
being
about the
next to each-
overhang of the roof?
Because that's
Hit
the
each other.
overhang that's gonna hit. 18
Or
inches.
You're-
it's
it
higher,
does-
mine's lower.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. So
Okay, all right.
that's,
Well, thank you.
yeah,
If we could,
Yes.
confirm this with Mr. Riccardi, I think might be a building code issue. as
right.
well.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was actually going to ask Mr. Riccardi if he could just weigh in on this point, because I would like personally to have more information before I rule on this. So, Mr. Riccardi, if you could just speak to this one issue, one question. I know I don't want to live in hypothetical land.
No, but I think this is something that comes up very frequently.
Right.
And being newer board members, I
Yes.
think this is a point, this is a point to seek that clarification.
Yeah, so Mr. Riccardi, if you could just speak to this, that would be very helpful for us.
What is the specific question?
So the question is, if the adjoining property owners were to build a garage of their own next to the appellant's garage, would we have sufficient space between the garages is generally the question.
I don't know, 18 inches.
The zoning code requires when you're building an accessory building like a garage, that it be 10 feet away from a main building on an adjoining premises. In this case, you have the attached garage, you have the attached building. So the way the zoning code would treat it is it would have to be 10 feet away.
Yeah.
It's a little different from, do you understand?
I understand.
So the neighbors would be forced to build their, or unless they got a variance.
They would have to
Right,
come
they
for a
would have-
variance.
They would have to get a variance.
Right,
Which is their point.
right.
I just wanted to clarify something. It's only a 1-car garage. It's not a 2-car garage.
Okay.
It's a small garage. You know, it's only a 1 car. You know, And the whole point of attaching a garage, most houses that were built in the 50s have attached garages. The ones previous to that all had detached. People nowadays want the luxury, and there's nothing wrong with it, of not having to walk out into the elements. We have Northeast Ohio winter, not including rain. You have rain everywhere, but we have the winter. People want a dry car. They want a warm car. They don't want to scrape the snow off the car windows and things of that nature. So most houses built now going forward have attached garages. I don't advise people with narrow driveways to curve your driveway to get to the garage. You can drive into it, backing out of it's gonna be a whole different story. Most people hit the house and tear the cars up because you have to curve to come back out of it, and literally you drive straight in, you drive back straight out. When you curve trying to back out, most people hit the house. And that's just from building FYI.
Back at camera now.
I was gonna say, it is, the garage only allows one car to pull in, but the structure is extended for extra space, like living space,
And to attach it to
recreational
the house.
space, or something.
No.
It's not just one. It
We're
goes-
showing one car on the plan.
Right, we're
Right.
showing one car on the plan.
Right, one car to fit in, but they have that extra, I don't know how many feet over from the from the
It's
car.
a two-car size garage, it's just half of it, he's using it to attach. It wouldn't be any different if it wasn't attached and you just put a big window there. It's still the size of a two-car garage, so you have this much coming onto our property and eroding it. And then if there's 10 feet between buildings and he's given 18 inches, then that forces us to push our garage over 10 feet. And then, and that's unfair to us. That's unfair to us, not to mention, what about fire? Fires start in garage, what, that could be a fire hazard if the buildings are too close together.
I was saying, since they have that extra space that they aren't using for a car, they should get that part of the design over to the house.
Yeah, they
They
can
could keep
angle
the
that
3 foot.
breezeway, they can angle the breezeway and shift that over.
Any comment from city planning?
I really don't have anything to add at this point. You pretty much covered all of the bases. Again, if the applicant were to decide to detach the garage, take out that breezeway, that variance goes away. Because they are 18 inches off the property line. For a detached garage, there's no variance. That would be one solution. Or granting the variance. They go to-
Right.
Or obviously changing the whole house, no.
For this.
He's also asking for 1 foot variance in the back of the garage as well. They're supposed to be 3 foot there.
And DePella, you testified that you are gonna maintain an attached garage because of the elements and the
Yeah.
weather for whoever will buy this
Right, it's
property.
I mean, most people want attached garages now. I mean, it's a modern, building standard for the most part. You want to detached garages in.
All right, I think I have all my questions answered.
Any questions, comments? Okay.
Madam Chair, just to clarify, the rear of the garage, if it were detached, I believe would only have to be 18 inches off the property line.
Right.
Not the three that the neighbors.
Right.
Madam Chair, I also like to point out about the size of the house. If you'll notice, we are not being cited here for there not being enough square footage, available
Right.
square footage on the site. So the house is not oversized for the lot, which is a variance that we commonly grant. But that is something I want you to take note of.
Right.
So the house is not too large for the size of the site.
So ladies, the issues that you have with the design of the house, that's not something that we cover. the size of the house relative to the lot is not something that's cited. So that was one of your contentions, and that's within acceptable limits, okay? If the garage were detached, it could be 18 inches off the lot line. So your argument that if there wasn't the breezeway and it was just a freestanding garage, he would be allowed to have the garage at 18 inches off that side lot. So he could eliminate the breezeway and still keep the garage where it is.
But eliminating the breezeway would also eliminate a lot of runoff that breezeway creates.
Well, he's going to have a gutter system. What's the pitch of that roof? You know off the top of your head?
Typical 12-3.
12-3.
It's not gonna be a
Right.
a steep roof.
So a 12-3 is a low pitched roof.
Which way is the driveway gonna be pitched? Driveway gonna be pitched towards our driveway?
No, when I say pitch, I mean the angle of the roof, okay? The one picture that you showed us that has the sloping roof to the back, that's called a shed roof. And that is a low pitch roof, okay? For reasons of snow load and things like that, those types of roofs typically are not used anymore. So you get a pitch roof, a gable roof, and it's 12-3, which is relatively low, which means the runoff isn't gonna come dramatically down, okay?
Runoff isn't gonna what?
It's not gonna come dramatically down, and he will have a gutter. Do you have a gutter plan anywhere?
Yeah, the gutter. It has a gutter.
So it will have gutters that will capture the rainfall. And then that will be, taken off into the sewer system or a
Storm
rain
drain,
barrel
yes.
or something like that.
And it's against building code. I'm not sure the code, but can't pitch your runoff to the neighbor's yard anyway for possible
Right.
flooding and wet basements. So,
Right.
nothing, driveways aren't pitched to people. They're not supposed to be. So they're pitched to the street to run to the
Right.
outlets.
So many of your concerns are building code, which would be addressed with the building department. When he pulls permits, when he has his plans reviewed, those sorts of things. Okay?
That's future.
Where are you in the plans?
We have to, we proceed there once.
Okay. So he will proceed to building and housing for his plan review and his permits once we're finished here.
That would be going.
Yeah.
Okay? So many of the issues that you're concerned about are building issues. And those things would be addressed in that process.
I'll say one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
You brought out a point about curving and backing up. And if he's, given this 18 inches, and then there's supposed to be a 10-foot between the buildings, when we go to do our garage is gonna be over and we're gonna have to curve and move. So.
When are you planning on building a garage?
Well,
Getting the funds together.
Let me say. I have other properties that I'm trying to raise money for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I have a couple of things with the house pending for once I get those resolved.
I will tell you this, because we have many neighborhoods in the city, because the housing stock in, we're a Midwestern city. The housing stock tends to be older. My house was built in 1928, for instance, okay? The garages were put behind because in many cases, people didn't have cars back then. So the houses were behind and the zoning reflected that. So new construction often has a garage that's attached. And that happens in various neighborhoods around the city. I'm just trying to explain things to you, So, and a variance, a side yard variance for the garage is something that we see very frequently.
So we would be able to build our garage, it would not have to be 10 feet apart from his garage. because
Well,
we have this unique
you would probably
situation.
have to come back and see us, but you know us now, so.
That's true.
So,
So then I guess the last comment I'd like to make for both of us is because it is going to be a detached garage, and even if it was detached, he would get the 18, but because it is going to be an attached garage, we still are going to ask that the current zoning of the 3 feet between the properties be upheld. I would just like to say that's what we're asking.
I think we've heard all of your concerns. We've had you here twice, and we've, you know, I understand, and you know, we've listened attentively to all your concerns. So we want to know that you've been heard. All right? All right, ladies, are we ready to make a motion?
I can do it. So having heard testimony from the builder, the neighbors, planning, building and housing, knowing that there's a letter of support on file from the councilman, I am moving approval of calendar number 23-091.
Could I have a second, please?
I second.
Liz, could you call the roll?
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Page?
Yes.
Calendar number 23-091 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we will send you a letter.
Thank you all very much.
All right.
Thank you.
And, sir, please be good neighbors to the ladies.
Always.
Okay?
Please build the garage on the big lights.
There you go. All right. All right, Ms. Kukla,
Does everybody have their old business?
old business?
Yes.
So 1 through 9. And then also West 22nd Street is in there if you wanted to have the discussion about it after you vote on the first 9.
Yeah, let's do 1 through 9 without objection.
Without objection.
Without objection.
All right, number 10, any discussion?
So just for the record, you received communication from the applicant as well as the Development Corporation. This board granted, just as a reminder, this board granted the variance, and this variance was regarding 1 parking space that was, the overall plan was deficient. They were required to have 7 and they only had 6. That was the only issue that the board was deciding on. It is our understanding, and this was in the letters, that the applicant had reached out to the community after our meeting to try to set up a community meeting. I think he tried or he put some information into the Co-Urbanize database platform. And again, you have more details in those emails that were received. So the question is this enough for, the other component is that we did not receive we did receive some communication from Nate Mull, but I'm not sure if it's exactly what you were looking for regarding the community meeting, if that makes sense, or the community input that you were looking for. So I think what you could do today, you have a couple of choices. One is you could grant it based on the communication we received. You can hold it until we get a more detailed response from Nate Mull, I believe. Was there a third option? I can't remember what that was. But I think
Rehearing.
Yeah.
Rehearing.
Yeah.
So that's the other option. We can bring all the parties back to the table and have that testimony and discussion publicly.
Okay, board discussion, comments?
I think based on the documents that were submitted after we approved, those documents indicate that the architect attempted to meet with the community and from what we can see from those documents, those communications were not responded to. So I am comfortable moving forward with ratification.
Ms. Holster?
I would agree.
All right. Then number 10, without objection.
Without objection.
Without objection.
All right, number 10,
All right,
move forward.
thank you. Sounds good. And you received the resolutions, the resolution for this one as well, so
Okay.
you are aware.
Is there anything else then?
No, that's all that we have this morning.
All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn then.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. So moved. Thank you. We are adjourned.